Strike Back Season 4, Episode 6. Now, after a week-long hiatus thanks to Labor Day weekend, where pretty much every show went off, we come back to a really, really awesome episode that was just unbelievable. Like, it was a great counter to the last episode, which did have a lot of action, but I mentioned before, in that episode, there were a lot of moments, there were a lot of interesting sort of story moments in there. That was mostly an action episode, but it had those really well done, like the scene where Scott and Stonebridge run into that random family in the forest, and it's just like no music, and it's just a nice, calming scene. They had stuff like that in this, not nearly as calming because the whole time, even though the scene was pseudo calm, the whole time I'm watching, I'm just like, they're captured. They're captured. They're on three different language news channels. It's like Korean news. I don't remember what the second one was, and the third, I believe, was like British news or something like that. So they've been captured. They're on the news in different languages and stuff. Like, it's an act of terrorism. They're being held captive. It's like, we have Finn. And the whole time, it was just very intense. And then they had a really crazy scene when, meanwhile, no, that's not her name. That's freaking Ninja Turtles. Lena, totally off. Not exactly totally off, but it rhymes. Um, when she kills the kid that they actually spared in the last episode, that really surprised me. Like, I knew it wasn't Finn in that first part. I was like, okay, I know for a fact that that's not Finn. For one, I remembered the preview where they actually showed his face for the episode. But in general, we knew that wouldn't have been the case. Because if they did that, it would be like, alright, you already screwed up. Because everybody knows that that's your only bargaining chip. If you actually go so far as to kill your bargaining chip, it's like, well, I have nothing else to live for. Like, you pushed it too far, and I didn't break, and now there's nothing for me to break for. So that was just another reason I knew, but it was still a crazy moment. It was like, he failed to stop you guys. He had the chance, but he failed. And at least this way, he did something to kind of push you towards the goal of helping, his country. I was like, man, that was just an insane moment for me. But it was very cool. It was very well done. They had, like, the torture scenes early on for Scott, just dealing with everything that's happening on top of knowing, like, his son is there somewhere. He doesn't know where, but he's being tortured and stuff. And then I'm sure all that's in his mind is, how am I going to get Finn out of this? And it was great. I mean, they go through and he decides to tell everything. And then we get to Stonebridge, who did, like, the funny video thing. And then he was kind of doing what they always do, which is playing a very, very dangerous game. And in this case, it wasn't either of their lives, it was Finn's life. And, he's messing with Lena, and it's like, he's playing such a dangerous game. And it's the type of show where, of course, we know these guys are going to live. It's Scott and Stonebridge. They are Strike Back. They're the two characters. But everyone around them, it's kind of fair game. Like, you never really do know. Like, they do stuff every season. Sometimes it's more than once. So I really wasn't too sure. I'm like, I don't know how this is playing out. I don't know. But fortunately, everything worked out. I didn't expect that scene to go the way that it did, where that led to them escaping. I thought that was going to happen much later in the episode, if at all. Because I knew that, Locke was bringing in Martinez, and he brings in a new character, Nina, who is actually going to basically be Martinez's replacement, which kind of sucks because I'm assuming something happened as far as scheduling goes, and so the actress wasn't able to stay on throughout the whole season. Because it wasn't like, she died or anything. It was like, oh, I got called back by the DEA, and that's pretty much it, unfortunately. So this was her last episode. I kind of wish she did have, excuse me, more of a focus, but at the same time, the past couple episodes, she definitely had some obviously emotional moments. So, I can definitely be satisfied by those couple of moments that she had where she's hurt by the decisions that she's made, and she wants to make up for that and kind of accept, just what happened in general. So I did enjoy her very specific moments because they really did matter. They were directly involved in things that just made such a huge difference for the emotional impact of, the past couple of episodes. So I actually did enjoy the moments, even though she did have, like, a huge focus with her kind of leaving the series. But it was definitely well done. So we have the new character Nina coming in, and I'm sure we'll get to learn more about her personality and everything with her. Later, in the later couple episodes, but we get a little bit of info out of her when she meets Locke, and she mentions how she would call, but he would never answer, stuff like that. So I'm sure we'll get to learn her relationship and see how she acts with Scott and Stonebridge. But, they all come in, and it's like, they're in this Russian helicopter. They just wait, because it's like, hopefully he's signing, to go to this exfil point. And that's all we can hope for, because our country has kind of abandoned them. I'm sure we'll see the repercussions of that within the next episode, because he did kind of disobey orders, and they went in to save people that were captured, and is like, full on terrorist mode. So I think we'll definitely get to see the repercussions of that in the next episode. What they're gonna have to kind of mess around with and possibly change up. I mean, I feel like there's not much that they can change. It's not like there's a giant unit or anything. It's like 4 people, so it's not like there's really that much that they're gonna have to switch around. Like, oh, you lost funding, like, meh. So I don't know what's gonna come of that, but I think we are gonna get to see something interesting, and I'm definitely excited for it. But the action of it in general of this episode was definitely amazing, and like I said, when they initially escape, like after Stonebridge messes with her and kind of brings out her emotional side, which was an amazing scene, because he really hit home. It's like, this is personal for you, because you want this to work so well, but at the same time, you're kind of in your own little camp. And that was something that I really loved in this episode, because of course it came down to the wire, and ultimately now she's kind of off on her own with her lover, I guess. I guess that's what we just have to call them. But I knew, because she even, I think early on in this episode, she's like, you should tell them pretty much that you don't trust me. That was basically her advice to the guy that she's in love with, because she's like, they already don't trust me. These two guys come in, I'm getting blamed for this, and then of course when she fails and, Scott and Stonebridge do escape, I knew right then that this was kind of it, and that's exactly what happened when her mentor came up to her, and he was about to kill her, and I figured, I was like, once again, like, I don't know 100%, she could get killed off, but it wouldn't be too surprising if her boyfriend came in and saved her, and that's what he did, and they take off with each other, and it was just really great. I was kind of waiting for that moment to happen, because she was already scared that the people in control around her didn't trust her, and they certainly didn't. And then this happened. She got captured. A bunch of people got killed as they were going through, which was a very awesome scene. Like, it was I think some of my favorite coordination that I've ever seen them do. And it's always really fun to watch them, because this is really like the closest I'll ever get to like a military show. Like, well, and I guess technically flat out is a military show, just as fiction. But I just like the area they were in looked really cool, and it was like them having to do like the cross section visual, so it'd be like Sky on one wall and then Stonebridge on the other, and they'd kind of do like a cross view, like, all right, you're clear. And they've done that before, but I don't know why, but for some reason it just stood out in this episode to me. I really can't explain it. It was just like, for some reason I noticed it a lot more, and it was some stuff that was different, because they had this hostage where typically it would be like, all right, we have just someone that we need to get out of here. So it's like, all right, you stay behind me. I'll go forward and I'll check. But in this case, it was like, we need a hostage, but at the same time, I don't care about you. And so there would be there are tons of shots with Stonebridge, and he'd be walking up. He'd have his gun, but he'd have her in front of him instead of it being the other way around if they're actually protecting someone. And I love that. I was like, that's just a minor difference that I'm sure has happened before, probably several times, but with it being 4 seasons and 5 years, because we had like an extra year added on due to the injury to, I believe, Stapleton, I believe, who is Scott. So we had like an extra year on that, so I don't really remember a lot of the specifics, but I was like, this is just something about it. Like, their movements and stuff were very different. It was really cool, and of course, Finn being added onto that made it different as well, because it's like, all right, we have our hostage who can still, get killed, and it'll be fine. We'll figure something out. Then you have Scott and Stonebridge, and then you have Finn, who is like kind of in the middle as well. So you have hostage who can, expendable hostage, Stonebridge, Finn, and then Scott, and then that would kind of switch back and forth between Scott and his son. And of course, that led to Finn actually shooting someone in this episode, and that really affected him. And fortunately, Finn didn't die because even before they focused on it, they actually did it, and I kind of love that they did this. But the shots that they had after they all escaped in that truck and they were just driving, you could see that Finn was actually holding his stomach, and I'm sure the director told him to do that, like hold your stomach, like we're gonna film these shots, but that's what's gonna happen. So I thought it was kind of cool because normally in TV shows it's like they make the person look like, oh, nothing happened, and then it's like, oh, look at this. But if you actually look at the shots, he's holding his stomach, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool that they just flat out show it. But of course he got hit, which I wasn't surprised by. Fortunately, he lived. Led to another crazy action scene. Like once again, just a ton of peeking around corners this episode of Stonebridge in the hospital. Really cool moment when he got the two guys and he like rolled the little teapot out and they walked around. I love that scene because I wasn't sure. I'm like, I don't know where he's gonna come out at, and then they search like the section where he was at, and then they go to a third section, and he's just like posted up in this tiny little spot in the wall, in between like the door and the wall, and like another wall. I think it was the shower or something, and he just got both those guys. I was like, that was just a really cool scene to me because even I didn't know where he ended up going after he rolled the teapot. So I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna actually take these guys out or if he's gonna come out behind them and take them out, or if he's just gonna see where they are and then just take off or what. So it was kind of a cool scene guessing, like, is he gonna come out here? Is he gonna come out there? Is he gonna like knock the gun down and then like choke the guy out silently, or how is he gonna do it? So I actually enjoyed that scene. It was just a nice little camera pan movement through these three separate little sections, and it was really really sweet. Um, then we had the scene when they were leaving the hospital when Scott had to punch the woman, and he's like, he punched her. I was like, he was freaking out because he didn't want to hit her, of course, because she helped save his son. And it was just kind of a funny scene. He's like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, just go, because she didn't want to die. And it's like, he just got in the car, he's like, sorry, but thanks. And it was just like a weird moment for him. And it was kind of cool. It was just it was funny even though it kind of wasn't meant to be. But it was kind of funny to me. It was like, it was something where he didn't want to do that, but it's like you kind of have to hit this lady to. Ironically, you have to definitely punch this lady as hard as you can. Maybe not as hard as you can, but definitely punch this lady hard enough in order to flat out, keep her from dying because they would have just killed her, much like Lena was going to get killed by her mentor because she failed. And then we go from there to the little checkpoint scene, which was pretty cool. And then that blows up the car. And then it's like, look at this. Now they're on freaking horse and carriage. And they have, I don't know what, almost a dozen cars and trucks coming down. And they had two people on motorcycles in the front. There was a tank or some sort of APB type thing. It was armored, but it didn't have like an actual tank cannon. So kind of useless, really. It was just faster than an actual tank. But they have a bunch of people shooting at them, and then they get saved by the helicopter, and it was just really awesome. Like it was a great just from walking to truck to horse and carriage, and then the final little shootout with the helicopter, and Stonebridge like having to jump onto the helicopter. And I always watch like the little how-to scenes after each episode before I end up doing the reviews. And I like that they kind of talked about it. And it was really funny. He mentioned that basically each time he did the shot, the helicopter was just a little bit higher than the last time. And it was kind of cool. It was kind of funny watching that. He mentioned that he almost fell like straight out of the helicopter because he basically was like pretty much what you guys are seeing. That's how much landed in the helicopter, and he knew he was going to fall. But fortunately, the little cargo net was in there, so he was able to grab that, and he didn't fall out of the helicopter. So I thought that was kind of funny too. But it was definitely a cool little scene, the way they edited and put the different shots together. I thought it looked really cool, and it was just like they got out. Finn was fine. He had the little moment where he's looking at the nurse and stuff, and he and Scott bumped fists, which I thought was just kind of cool, like a silly, just them. Like it's Scott, and then it's like, oh, it's Scott Jr. basically. So that was a cool little moment. And then now we have Lena and her boyfriend her lover, whatever they are. They're going to be the main villains in the next episode. I'm really looking forward to, because it's just going to be like a bank robbery for whatever they're doing, like whatever this big plan that they have is. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see what goes down. I believe the guy that plays her boyfriend is going to be doing a bunch of martial arts as well. There was one I saw, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was like one little scene that they were talking about with the actor, and um, it was like he did a kick and it was so close, and I can't think of the guy's actual name, so I have to just call him Stonebridge by his character's name. But he mentioned that the guy kicked like so close he could have like just knocked the cigarette out of his face. So I'm pretty sure it was that guy. It was like a quick shot that they showed. But there's going to be someone that they fight that they can't beat. And he's going to be doing martial arts and stuff. And I'm like, I love martial arts. So I'm really looking forward to that, because it should be pretty cool. But definitely an amazing episode. Went faster than I expected as far as them escaping. I thought that would have lasted much longer. And I think it was within like the first 15 minutes. Because by the time um, Lena's mentor gets killed, I like hit the button. I was like, how far into this am I? And I was at like 38 minutes out of the hour. I was like, holy crap, this episode is just like jam packed full of content. So I definitely loved it. I thought I was at like 45 minutes, and I was like, oh, I'm almost done with the episode, and I was like halfway through it. So and it was done. It was done in a good way. It wasn't like it dragged on. It was just a lot to experience, and it was all really freaking great. So love this episode. Sucks to see Martinez go, but we do have another character coming in. I'm excited to learn about her, and now we have a new dynamic for our main villain, who was doing it for her country, and now she's kind of an outcast. And it's these two powerful people kind of just doing their own thing. They've sort of failed their country, but not really. I mean, two people came in and they were just awesome, and that's just how it plays out. But now they're both kind of outcasts doing their own thing. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of this season. I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic with her having, left the country. And like how they even shot the one guy when they got the helicopter. He was like, thanks for helping us. And he's like, yeah, sure, because he had no idea. And then he just gets killed in like this random field. And, they just go on, and that's pretty much it. So I'm excited for the sort of shift in dynamic for her character. Excited to meet this new member of the team that we're getting. And I just can't wait to see them fight whoever it is that does martial arts, because I just love freaking twists and kicks. I can barely even do a front flip, just rolling. But I love to see it, so I'm excited for that. I definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I just want to know what you guys thought about like the action in this episode, because I thought the last one had just crazy action, like when they were in the sort of train depot and they're just running straight down, and it was a bunch of amazing shots and stuff, blow up a whole nuclear facility. And then this is like, yeah, we escaped here, shot all these people up, we were in the car, shot those people up, lost the truck, and they were in a horse and carriage. A dozen trucks coming at us, still managed to survive, as they always do, of course. But it was just an amazing amount of action, and some great story stuff, like with Lena, and especially the way things ended with her mentor being killed by her lover, and then them going off on their own and coming up with whatever random plan they have for Europe. So, like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.